I think we can proceed.
Sorry, I'm just slow to unmute myself. So, okay.
Yes, you can proceed and then you can conclude and wrap up.
Yes. So there's a few questions in the chat line that I still need to answer. And then there's also some general questions that have been posted that I will get to. Yeah. So Rene, the first question was about
how do we see the implementation of the functions?
Okay, yeah. So I would not be concerned about the formula in the background. That's not necessary. Oh, I must maybe share again. That will help. No, just plug in this as well and get to share screen and just share. And then, okay, this I can go out, and this is the chat line, but I don't want to really, and quickly go back here. So when you are on a function, I figured it out in the break. If you say Control I, it takes you here to help, and it gives the explanation, and it depends on the people creating the help for that function, how much detail you will find here. And it will also tell you what other things you might be interested in, rich regression here, they mention here. And then they have some examples as well that they indicate here. So examples are also listed here. So yeah. There are examples given as well. But that's basically how you can get. Otherwise, if you go to Stack Overflow or you Google around, you will also, for some of these functions, get details. So, I mean, it's basically as simple as, let me just go, how to do regression in. No, we don't use Excel, please. You can work in SPSS or Stata or whatever, but please stay away. Don't do your regression in Excel. How to do it in Python. And there are multiple. I mean, yeah, Geeks for Geeks, I think is a relatively, they even explain, as I say, they go beyond just how the functions work that they suggest to use. They do some nice explanation. So yeah, they do with even plots included. Here they give the formula. You said that some of these formula are not that nice, but we don't need to know them. But yeah, there's a lot of resources available online. Yeah. Okay, now yes. What then?
Next one is, can you do multiple regression?
Yes, multiple regression is a possibility. We cannot do multiple regression today. That is going to keep us busy until very late this evening. It is doable in terms of the coding. That's not so much more difficult, but there is quite an bit of explanation needed beyond what happens when you do multiple regression, when you have more than one explanatory variable. Your interpretation of parameters are not so straightforward. Things like that. You have to be careful by looking at you cannot just simply use an R square. You need to use something called an adjusted R square. Especially if you want to start comparing models, decide which variables you want to keep in your model and which you want to remove and so forth. So that's beyond the scope for this summer school, I think, to go into multiple regression. But it is a possibility. And again, there's lots of resources available online if you want to read further on multiple regression. Those two books we mentioned at the beginning, specifically the book from Open Intro, they go into detail for multiple regression. They also go into something called logistic regression, which is this when you have a response variable that is categorical in nature. We've now just looked at regression where both X and Y are numerical in nature, but you can have either X or Y or even both as categorical variables. So logistic regression is where your Y, your regressor variable is categorical in nature. So yeah, that's the logistic regression. Yeah.
Then it's a general question.
Okay.
General question. Can you give us pros and cons of doing stats using Python versus R, SAS, and Stata? Okay. Secondly, if we are in the field of statistics, should we be familiar with all of these tools or stick to one?
Okay, so firstly, for general usage. If you are working in a project, at your project, you're already doing a lot of coding in Python. And now there is some statistical analysis that you need to add to, and it's not quite very extensive, but you need to do some stuff, even if it is a bit extensive, but it's not a statistics project you're working on. Then my suggestion would be you stay in Python. You don't want to climb out of Python and now start using other packages or other software packages. Stay in Python. If, however, you have a project you are working on, it was not coding based a lot, you haven't done a lot of coding, but there comes now up that you need to do statistical analysis. Then personally, my first choice would not be Python. Python was not created for statistical analysis or even data science, wanting to be. It is general purpose coding that's available for all kind of different things. Statistics, one of them. Or SAS, Starter, those kind of packages are specifically software packages that's created for statistical or data science, statistical analysis or data science. So currently my choice would be, I would be using R if I have to make a choice. And the reason for R would be that it is open source. However, we are fortunate enough at the University of Pretoria, we do have a SAS license campus-wide. SAS is extremely expensive. There's not single user licenses as far as I know. So companies buy it, or there's academic licenses available. So at the University of Pretoria, every registered student at the University of Pretoria, as I understand, can have access to SAS. I believe it's very good if you can do coding in SAS, if you have the possibility to learn that. And the reason is every extra package or software that you can list on your CV make you more marketable compared to the other person that's applying for the same job. So if you can show that you can do coding in R and in SAS, and you can use SPSS and maybe Starter, that's better than Paul van Staden that basically can help him somewhat a little bit in R. You are then better prepared. So I personally use currently mostly R. One of the reasons I like to use R is the graphics that you obtain from R is far superior and easier to obtain nice graphics compared to other software. But I've done a lot of my own research, given what I've done in my PhD in Mathematica. I know there are people, especially engineers, they prefer to use a MATLAB, and they do their statistics then in MATLAB. I know of people that prefer to use Maple and do statistical functionality available in Maple. So there are really a lot of options available. R has become popular for the reason that it is open source and freely available. You don't need to purchase. So it makes collaboration between team members easier. It's not that I'm at the University of Pretoria, I have access to SAS, but I'm collaborating with somebody at university of somewhere else, and university of somewhere else don't have SAS available, and now it's a difficulty of collaborating. I can have R installed, the person at university of somewhere else also have R installed, and collaboration is easy. Having said that, many companies are now thinking pharmaceutical and also in the finance, so insurance and banking, they still use SAS. The reason is SAS provide guarantees that provided by open source software. So I know when I was a few years ago in Canada collaborating there with some people there, one was a person that have just returned from working in a bank to academia, and that person said that when he was at the bank, for the first time ever, he was actually forced to code in SAS. And when the friends asked him, why SAS? Why didn't you not just do all your work in R? Who would know? He was like, no, he would get into trouble. Because if R malfunctions or do some mistake, you are in serious trouble as the employee and as the company if lives gets lost or if money gets lost. Whereas with, well, in terms of finances and money, as he explained, the bank he was working with had a contract signed with the SAS corporation that if there's money that's lost and it's not because Paul van Staden doesn't know how to use a package within SAS or a procedure within SAS, but it's an internal SAS error, then SAS will repay all losses back because SAS is a huge company. They will pay that back to the bank of course, SAS reinsures themselves as well. So yeah, but that you don't gonna get with R. So for research, R is excellent. If you do research, then R is excellent. And there are packages that are very well created within R. As you have within Python, some excellent packages available. Anything else, Rene?
I don't think you answered everything. You should be familiar with all the tools.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've never used Starter to the best of my knowledge. Maybe I've used it and I wasn't even aware of it, but to the best of my knowledge, I haven't. Many years ago, I had to do something in SPSS, so I had to get it installed. But that was, I was doing a consultation project where the people that I was working with, they actually wanted and had to use SPSS. For the publication they used, in the journal they were publishing, they had to use SPSS. That was a condition or something. So then I had to, and I mean, SPSS was not too difficult for me to understand. If you can work in R, you will be able to work in Python. There's some notation that's maybe a bit different, some coding. But if you're able to work in R, you should be able to pick up Python quite quickly. I mean, I haven't used Python actually for more than a year until now for this summer school. And it wasn't too difficult for me. I mean, I still making mistakes all around. And how do I get to that? Because I have in my all the time I had to do it in R, and then Python isn't quite the same. SAS work with procedures, which are quite easy to work with. Most of the time, the help in SAS is not always that easy compared to the help in, say, R or Python, I found, but SAS is quite nice in terms of procedures, if you know what to do. And SAS also have a programming part where you can do raw code programming like you would do in R or in Python. So, yeah. So I think it's a good idea if you can familiarize yourself with more than one package. And if it's R and Python, that's already excellent. If you maybe don't have access to SAS. Or to SPSS or Starter or Statistica or NITheP, or there are many packages available. Anything else, Rene?
There's no more questions.
Now then, thanks to everybody. I hope the examples I used was not too terrible and scary and bad. And hopefully there was some part of it that will be useful for you in whatever research you are conducting. And thanks, I see some hands clapping. I don't even know how to do that. I am so bad with Zoom currently. But yeah, I hope you have then a wonderful afternoon and that you enjoy the rest of the summer school.